Well, right after these strikes targeting terror targets in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, various reactions have been coming in from world leaders, Indian politicians, of course, and Indian celebrities and the victims of the Pahalgam attack. Now, politicians across the political spectrum came together to hail India's Operation Sindoor. Shortly after the retaliatory strikes by India, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh put out a tweet on social media X saying, "Bharat Mata Ki Jai." Home Minister Amit Shah expressed confidence in the Indian Armed Forces. In a post on social media X, Shah wrote that the Modi government is resolved to give a befitting response to any attack on India and its people. Information and Broadcasting Minister Ashwini Vaishnav also took to X and wrote, "Jai Hind." Leader of opposition in the Lok Sabha, Rahul Gandhi, wrote on X, "Proud of our armed forces. Jai Hind." The leader of opposition in the Rajya Sabha, Mallikarjun Kharge, applauded the resolute resolve and courage of the armed forces. Kharge further wrote that national unity and solidarity is the need of the hour, and the Indian National Congress stands with the Indian Armed Forces. Congress leader Jairam Ramesh also conveyed full support to the Indian Armed Forces and said that India stands united in its fight against terrorism emanating from Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Meanwhile, Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Omar Abdullah expressed support for Operation Sindoor and also highlighted that he does not want a war with Pakistan, but for that, Islamabad needs to lower guns first. Listen in.
हमारे हाथ में ये खेल है नहीं। हम तो चाहेंगे और अल्लाह ताला से दुआ करेंगे कि ये जल्दी थमे। मैं तो कहता हूँ अगर आज ही ख़त्म हो तो बेहतर है, लेकिन इसको रोकने की ताकत जो है वो लोग रखते हैं जिनको सही फ़ैसला लेना होगा। मैंने वैसे भी कहा पार की बंदूकें बंद हो जाएं तो यहाँ से भी बंदूकें बंद होंगी। फ़िलहाल तो हमारे सिविलियन एरियाज़ जो हैं उनके तोप के निशान बने हुए हैं।
Congress MP from Trivandrum, Shashi Tharoor, described the retaliatory strikes as a fitting response and urged the nation to stand united at this hour.
As you know from my earlier statements and writings, this is exactly what I thought the government should do, and I'm glad they have done, which is that there is no question in my mind that we had to give some sort of fitting response to the terror attack. The terrorists had to be taught that there was a price to be paid. And sadly, this kind of impunity that they believe they enjoy would have only emboldened them to continue with further attacks. So it was important and essential to give them some sort of...
Where we see right now a meeting that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is carrying out right after the strikes that India conducted. And of course, this comes right after the Indian Army's media briefing. Now, before we knew that Indian Prime Minister has praised the military for conducting these strikes. Now, during the meeting of the Union Cabinet, Prime Minister Narendra Modi gave information to his cabinet colleagues about the operation conducted against Pakistan. The Indian Army has carried out the operation as per the preparations and without any mistake, is what he said. All the ministers of the Union Cabinet expressed their faith in the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and said that the whole country is with him. Right now, we're being joined by a correspondent and, of course, our special correspondent Idris, and, of course, Siddhant Sibba, our assistant of foreign editor of Foreign Affairs. Siddhant, thank you so much for joining us. Now, we know that the cabinet meeting is taking place that we see right now. What is the latest that you can bring in?
Well, the meeting is now concluding, and this is the meeting in the aftermath of the Operation Sindoor by India, the targeting of Pakistani terrorists deep inside Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Now, we know that the Indian Prime Minister is expected to also go to Rashtrapati Bhavan, the presidential palace, and brief the Indian President as per the protocol. But we know that this is a big victory moment for India. For the first time, India has not only made strikes in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, but also inside Pakistan. What will be the Pakistani response is something that will be closely watched. But clearly, Pakistan it's up to in fact Pakistan to go up to the escalation ladder or the de-escalation ladder. But all in all, the diplomatic response is something that is also being closely watched. We know that the Indian Foreign Secretary in his briefing pointed out that as to how the focus was non-military installations, terrorist camps, and how India has been a victim of the terrorism from Pakistan, especially cross-border terrorism from Pakistan. And in fact, the press briefing, the briefing that started earlier today, the 27 minutes long briefing, started by the video of how India has been targeted by Pakistani terrorists since the Parliament terror attack and several terror attacks after that. So clearly India has been resolute in its response, and this is something that India wanted the world to know.
Absolutely, and these strikes happens to be more expansive than the earlier strikes. Let me also go across to our special correspondent Idris Lone joining us. Thank you so much, Idris, joining us. Now, there's also a meeting that Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister held where Omar Abdullah had briefed upon and took note of everything that's going on there. He has also said that the gun is now, Islamabad needs to lower its guns now. What is the latest that you can bring in from the ground?
Well, yes, the Chief Minister spoke to the Home Minister Amit Shah also and briefed him about the security situation that is developing across Jammu and Kashmir, especially on the line of control and international border. He also, Omar Abdullah, held a meeting of his cabinet ministers where they also discussed threadbare of how especially they would reach out to the people who are being impacted and affected by the continuous ceasefire violations from the Pakistani side. We've also seen the escalation from the Pakistani side on the northern part of Kashmir as well as in the Jammu division on both line of control as well as on the international border. On the other side, we've seen around 8 people have been killed while as over 30 people are injured in the ceasefire violation. The shelling that Pakistan has been continuously doing from the last 8 hours in the Poonch sector of the Jammu division. On the other hand, in the northern part of Kashmir in Kupwara, we've seen the Pakistan Army's escalation. They're not only targeting the armed forces bunkers as well as their installations, but they have started firing towards the civilian population and their properties. Let me tell you that dozens of houses have been damaged at both Poonch and Kupwara. Some of the houses completely dismantled, completely burned down by the shelling that is continuously taking place at both the places. We're also getting reports that there are multiple places across North Kashmir as well as international border where Pakistan yet again has broken ceasefire and is continuously firing towards the Indian side. On the other hand, the Indian Army is responding to this escalation by the Pakistani Army. But what remains one of the major concerns for the security forces in Jammu and Kashmir is the civilian population that is being evacuated. We've seen from Kupwara's Chokibal area people moving out of their houses to the safer places, while as in Jammu region also people have been asked to evacuate their houses which are very close to the line of control for them to be at a safe and also away from the violence.
Absolutely, and it's also that the Chief Minister called out that he does not want war and also wants a situation to improve, considering the fact that it has majorly impacted Jammu and Kashmir so much economically and of course socially. And we don't want war. And what is your reaction to that? Because of course this is a conflict that has impacted Srinagar so much.
Well, absolutely. Nobody in Jammu and Kashmir at least wants war. Jammu and Kashmir has gone through so much in the last 30 years, especially the people who live close to the line of control. They have gone through so much. There have been till 2021 when the ceasefire agreement was basically renewed by both the countries. After that, we've seen peaceful times. At least for 4 or 5 years, there have been peaceful times for the people who are living very close to the line of control. And now again, yet again, they've gone back to 2 decades ago. It's the similar situation used to happen where Pakistan would break ceasefire now and then, targeting not only the Indian Armed Forces installations but also the civilian population. It becomes extremely difficult to live under those circumstances, and that's what we are seeing on the ground also. In Poonch, as I said, 8 people killed, over 30 people injured, and the death toll might go up because there are some critical injuries there. People have moved out of their houses, they've left their properties and everything behind and moved to the safer places, and some of them are still moving. So it's not a great sight and not a great time to be in those places where there is basically a gunfight and shelling going on from both the sides. And it's very difficult, and that's why we're seeing since morning across Kashmir division and Jammu, we've not seen many people coming out of their houses. There's tension all around. Schools have been closed, colleges have been closed, mostly across the northern part of Kashmir. There are few that have opened in the Srinagar, but schools and colleges close to the airport have also been shut. So there's a lot of tension, and people do want, as Umar Abdullah also said, nobody wants war and everybody wants an end to this.
Absolutely, Idris. Now, let me also go back to Siddhant. Now, we just heard the army briefing us upon the strikes, and now we also are getting results. We just had terrorist Masood Azhar's family members, including his sister, that was killed. That's the news coming in. There's just developing every minute. What information can you bring us on that front?
Well, there are confirmation that in the Indian strikes, there have been not only the killing of the terrorists, but also the family member of terrorists. We are now waiting for more details, especially from the Pakistani side. But we know that as dawn broke earlier today, there were visuals from across Pakistan of the strikes undertaken by the Indian side. And this is something that has shocked Pakistan.
All right, Siddhant, thank you so much for bringing us the latest. And we have been tracking all the developments that are coming in from there. Thank you, Idris, for joining us as well and bringing us the latest.